Morning cities, I'm Eric Arias and today we have something new. Again. So this is an NR format, a format that has existed for pretty much 3 years now and is really popular because, well, it doesn't suck unlike masterduel. and well, okay, so very briefly, let's explain what's up, essentially. So, NNR format is a format in masterduel where you're only allowed to play normal and rare rarity cards, and that limits a lot of things, but also makes some engines, some decks more viable, and even some different playstyles for decks. For example, Infernoble is a grind deck instead of a hyper combo deck. And well, historically, Earthbound always has been consistently strong as an engine ever since it's been released in certain meta decks, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And well, I personally haven't really cared about the format until now. I've been on and off testing and playing those decks, actually playing Earthbound and doing really well with it. But I never really took that and just tested deeply because everyone else was just min-maxing everything, so there wasn't really a point for me to do anything really, I feel like, outside of min-maxing a little bit harder and just documenting the whole thing. Until now, because of Booyah and Mutiny. As you may know, Booyah and Mutiny are pretty solid in Advanced Constructed, especially in Genesis, although they haven't really been too strong in TCG and Masterduel. And while they've been just released in Masterduel, and they've been released as rare rarity cards, which lets them be played in this format. And that got me a lot more interested into this format because the main draw I've always had with this format is just I don't get to do what I love to do with Earthbound, mainly harmonic synchrofusion combo plays and geogriffin looping. And now with Booyah, you essentially get essentially, how do you explain it? Just pretty much a replacement for harmonic. Like you can access it relatively easily, and it gets you Gremlina, which is solid. You don't have Sweeper, but it's fine for the power level of the format. And you also get Mutiny, which basically just half replaces Griffin because you can use Gremlina to summon Gremlina, and throughout the course of several turns, that's just infinite advantage with you being able to summon multiple level 7 synchros, which are pretty strong in this format. And with that, we can begin. So, as I said previously, Earthbound has been used in a bunch of meta decks throughout the course of its existence in NNR format. And I feel like the most notorious one is Infernoble, or just pretty much every warrior pile, because Captain Roland can search, well, any warrior. And the idea here, pretty much very simply, is just you play Free Keeper and one of the garbage line walker, and you go Keeper into Walker, then make Roland pass on that, and that kickstarts your advantage engines. As you can grab small Roland, you can loop it, not loop it, just send it as cost for stuff, then use his effect to get more advantage, then you continuously do that. If you draw more Earthbounds, the merrier, because you get to keep doing this over and over and over. And that's pretty much it for the Earthbound side. But we also have to note about the Dark Contact engine. Dark Contact is basically just Miracle Fusion that also uses the Banish Zone. So I guess it's more like Thunder Dragon Fusion for Evil Hero Fusions, which can also summon Darkest Night, which needs a Warrior and a Fiend, which means you get to loop your Keepers and shuffle back any of your warriors, including Roland if you need him, again in rotation. Maybe Magus, maybe, I don't know, maybe Turpin if it's banished. Pretty much anything you can just recycle. You can recycle this guy, the rank 1 not Infernoble, the rank 1 Heroic that I don't know how to pronounce. Heroic Champion Jarngripe. Yes, you can recycle Jarngripe, which is limited in this format, and that's pretty cool. Speaking of Dark Contact though, I'm immediately gonna be saying this. I really wish Dark Fusion was a normal or rare card, because that would enable Earthbound so much, as just a searchable poly that makes your fiends untargetable, but oh well, it is what it is. Dark Contact is still a very strong card. That's really the basic gist of Earthbound in Warrior Pals. If you wanna, you can play Wild Wind plus Fiend Griefing to search Keeper for following turns. Infernoble, as weird as it may sound, is a grind game slow control deck in this format, which means you can just play a bunch of back row. You can sit on stuff that is fairly slow to set up, because you're gonna eventually overwhelm your opponent with say Ball, say your advantage generators, Jarngripe, Sophiel for removal. Pretty much everything here is just overwhelming your opponent throughout the course of several turns. It's just really neat. And the other deck playing Earthbound as an engine is Tearlaments. This was pretty much the only list I could find that was sorta legal. There is 2 copies of DD Post, which is not legal anymore, but literally every other list was playing Laundry Dragon Maid, as this was the only option. I suppose here, if I recall correctly, oh yeah, Dark Factory or More Production is banned currently, but like, it just subbed them out for more discard to do stuff cards, whatever. I'll eventually see if I can get other sample lists to be put here. But back to Tearlaments, the engine is way different compared to Infernoble. You could still play Free Keeper, one of the level 4 Walker, and your Infernoble stuff, since Roland isn't half bad as a mill target, so more options into that is pretty solid, especially because you can play Fairyons in tier. You can play the Aqua Fairyon and a Ball to be searched off your Infernoble stuff, which is really cool. You don't need to immediately set them up, because NNR format is rewards slower gameplay, which is really cool. But the more popular engine is 1 Linewalker, 1 Gremlina, and 1/2 Crazy Beast. You could also play King Caesar, although that's a little more niche, since this option is more so open in the grind game, but that's just up to preference, really, I think. The basic idea of this engine is that you can play Subterra Succession, you can use Terrifying Toddler or Torment, which I'm just gonna be referring to as Toddler, and Fiend Griefing to send Linewalker, which is gonna be one of your mill payoffs. Since this is one of the few fusions alongside the Metal Foes fusion, and that uses normal monsters, and Thespian, what's it called? Proskenion. This is one of the few options you get for fusions, and it's really solid because you get to summon Gremlina, add Walker again as material, use it again for a Tearlament fusion, make Crazy Beast, which is one of the best payoffs in the format, and just went from there. You don't even need to make Crazy Beast, you can just use Gremlina for a Link body, then or a Synchro body sometimes, then just get Walker, then use the Tearlament on your following turns to continuously shuffle Gremlina for a second Gremlina, and then you essentially just get infinite fusion material, which is really cool. You could also play Gremlin if you have a way to make it to be able to access Gremlina, then add Walker, then Tier Fuse into Crazy Beast. And the reason you play Line Walker instead of any other thing is, first of all, because its level is the best out of the bunch for Tearlaments, because most of your payoffs, like Toddler and Havness, which summons herself, and nothing on top of my head, but there definitely are other payoffs, I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember. You could use Gokipo, I think, yeah. Most of them are just level 3s, so Walker being a level 3 is pretty nice. And most importantly, Walker's effect actually matters, unlike the other two, which only matter if you're playing a bunch of Earthbounds, which is not what you want here, since Earthbound is relatively fairly easily accessible here, with your Mills, with your Toddler and Succession and such, and you have Fiend Griefing, and well, only playing one is very justified, and also Walker's effect can matter a lot of the times. It can reset a monster that needs to be summoned in a certain way, for example, Stardust Divine Zephyr Dragon, so that your opponent cannot summon it back, or you could use it to eat materials off of an Xyz monster, shuffle back a Pendulum monster that was summoned from the extra deck. There are a decent amount of applications for Walker. I will have the ruling sheet in the description as per usual, and well, that's pretty much it for Earthbound as a small engine. We can now get into Earthbound's core as a dedicated deck. So, Earthbound as its own dedicated deck is pretty interesting in NNR format, because you don't have as many options as you do in Advanced, but also the options you do get are more varied and more up to preference, as we'll get to when we get to the generics. But first, let's talk about the core. First of all, we have Freekeeper, because it's the only thing in the archetype that actually does something on its own, which also just means you need to play the Infernoble Knight package. Then we have one Line Walker, and this is mostly a ratio for the control variants, because you're just mostly using Earthbounds as a combo enabler later on rather than immediately, so you don't really need many more starters, since they're so accessible off of your consistency tools, like for example Fiend Griefing mainly, which can send Wild Wind and such. So additional walkers isn't necessary in a slower build, but in a quicker build, you need more walkers, since, well, you need more tuners to do your plays. And well, this is especially important in fusion builds, which we'll get to a little bit later. Then we have one baseline walker. You really don't want to play more than one, honestly. You could make an argument for more in the fusion build, but honestly just play Greater Line Walker. In the fusion build, I feel like that's the better option as your fusion material. But that sounds really weird out of context, like why would you play more Greater Line Walker? Especially because you don't have Prison in this format, so that's really wonky, but we'll get to it when we get there, alright? Then we have Free Booyah. Honestly, less in slower build, less is fine in smaller builds, in slower builds. Like, I'm not sure yet, but I feel like Free Booyah is pretty mandatory, unless you're playing Labrynth, in which case it's still fine with the furniture to make, say, Pit Knight, to make say, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, and such. I feel like it's not bad still, even a slower build. And plus, the more discard fodder, the merrier. And then we have one Mutiny. You can play more, it's just not really important to play more, I think. Like, the ways to eat back row from the graveyard are exactly Dark World Puppetry and I think Katon. Katon. Yeah, this also banishes Mutiny. You could optionally play 2, I guess. But overall, 1 is perfectly fine. Then for the extra deck, you need 2 Gremlina. This is non-negotiable. The main play you're gonna be doing with Gremlina as listed right, where is it? Here. God, I need to space this out. This is a nightmare. Okay. This should work. So the main play you're gonna be doing is this one. You will be using Gremlina. You have a Gremlina you already have in the graveyard if you have one, as material for a second Gremlina, and you can pretty much just loop this over and over. Most importantly, being able to shuffle back Keeper to be added off a Gremlina or Toddler, since that's limited and you really want Toddler in rotation. With stuff like Fiend Griefing, with stuff like pretty much just Fiend Griefing really. That's your only Foolish Burial option outside of, I guess, Rhino Warrior, but not yet that matters a fair bit. You can shuffle Toddler, that's pretty nice. You can shuffle Diabolica if you really want to as well. And back to here, there's not much else to say here. Gremlina enables pretty much your entire grind game, and she's core to your fusion game plan, which uses a bunch of ways to get into polymerization to summon Gremlina, then summon Magnum the Reliever, and well, Gremlina is really strong to enable your combos. Since she can search any tuner, she can search Greater Walker for some funny lines, and well, searching more tuners is gonna be relevant a little bit later as well. Then we have Charge Warrior. This is pretty much mandatory with yugioh, because you can go Keeper Walker, Keeper Prisoner Walker. I hate that I have to tell myself to say Prisoner Walker and Baseline Walker. It hurts my brain because this guy's never played outside of this stupid format. But anyways, you go Keeper Walker, yugioh, summons Charge Warrior, make a 7, and then summon Gremlina, and then use Gremlina for something else, I don't know. And this, although I'm not completely sure about, because of a Cupid Pitch, which I'm gonna bring out right now. Cupid Pitch is a really interesting card here, because it can search Black Sheep mainly, but it can also search some utility like Predaplant Saraceniant, which can also search Bufo. We'll get there when we get there, I promise you. But the main thing here is just Cupid Pitch enables you... Oh, Koishi jump scare. Anyways, enables you to go Keeper, Baseline Walker, summon yugioh, go into Pitch, drop her level to make a 7, then use Pitch to grab Black Sheep, Mutiny to summon whatever. No, summon exactly Gremlina, you can't summon anything else. Then add something, use Black Sheep to go into Poly to make Magnum, and that's a 7 and Magnum, which is stronger than the Charge Warrior line. And I'm not sure about this package in Labrynth, but this is definitely worth playing in Hyper Combo variants, in pretty much any Hyper Combo variants actually, because, well, summoning out any Synchro isn't that hard. In Predaplant you also get the options of Link 1s, and the summoning Magnum therefore is very simple. But for the overall core, I would say Cupid Pitch is only core for the Hyper Combo variant. Next, and so Charge Warrior is core by default because it's the best level 6. You can play Gaia Armor Dragon Shell as a second level 6 option, which is fine, I suppose, but I think Gremlin is better as a second level 6 option because you get to make your rank 6s with Gremlin. If you go, say, summon Gremlina, add Walker, summon Walker, summon a level 3, for example, say yugioh, of course, or Red Lotus King, and then go into Gremlin. Gremlin gets another Gremlina, then you make rank 6. And, well, yeah, that's really strong because Crazy Beast and Caesar are probably some of the best payoffs you get. Caesar is a little more niche because in the grind game, your opponent will definitely have removal for it, whilst the Crazy Beast has protection, and it will still gain value if they try to remove it anyways, not only because of its own revive effect, but because it can just eat back row and eat Xyz materials and anything really. So Crazy Beast is really strong to enable with Gremlin, but you can still play Gaia Armor Dragon Shell. In fact, I will just put the option right here. Next we have the level 7 Synchros. As I mentioned before, Gremlina looping is pretty much the heart and soul of the deck, and the level 7s are the easiest ones to use your materials with. You could go for 9s, but the only relevant 9 is Cloud Castle, because, what was it? I forgot the name. The big guy. Level 7 Synchro. So this is legal, this is legal. Gigantic Castle is not worth it. And Cloud Castle is a little niche, but it is fine depending on what you're playing. You could be playing Annihilator Archfiend, which is a little who. Annihilator Archfiend, which is bootleg Final Bringer of the End Times, or just Generators, or you can make 2 9s and then go for, I don't know, an Xyz play. It's not really worth it, I feel. Like, the level 7 pool is just so strong. Zeta is one of the few disruptions you get here, which is fine at best. It eats Link monsters, which is pretty good. Eats your opponent's easiest ways to get out of a sticky situations, pretty much. Then you have Squire Saga, which is spot removal, and she eats 2 cards at once, and yeah, that's really strong. Like, of course you have to play her. Then we have Meteor Burst Dragon, which is really relevant in this format. Meteor Burst Dragon basically just eats up every single hand battle trap? Battle hand trap, floating effects, flip effects. This guy does everything. Like Antlion. Antlion is one of the top staples in the format because it's just free removal. And it summons itself, it gains advantage, it synergizes really well with Goki Pole and Retaliating Sea. It basically does everything, and also Boxer. Chief Second is also a pretty solid card in Infernoble. You also have Veil. You have flip effects with Tindangles, there we go, Toddler. You also just get rid of floating effects, which is really strong. Meteor Burst is just a staple in the format, and for a really good reason, hence why you play it. Then we have Gaia Blaze, which is fine. It can revive your Infernobles for more Link bodies on following turns, although that's a little niche. You can just not use Walker's effects, Keeper's effects, so you don't lock yourself. And this is a fine play. It does a decent amount of damage. And gets you Link materials. It's perfectly serviceable optional option. Yes, nice words. Then we have Chaos King Archfiend. This is fine Like, I'm pretty sure none of you know what this guy does. It reverses attack and defense for every card your opponent controls. And this is fine to out some annoying bosses with protection. But the main draw of this card is that it's a Dark Fiend, which means you get to shuffle it with Mutiny. The problem is, this guy is not worth shuffling back. You'd rather just shuffle Gremlina and Keeper, and 3 to 4 options that are strong, like Squire Zeta, Meteor Burst, are just better to play than Chaos King Archfiend, because they're just stronger and will close out a game way quicker. But this is fine depending on your matchups. I'm not sure what actually gets outed by this, but it will eventually matter, I don't know. Like if you see that someone is playing something that gets countered by Chaos King, definitely go for it as your 4th level 7 slot. Then we have Vanyawa. This is just a big beat stick. It burns for 18, has a 3,300 attack, which is really big. Basically acts as the same thing as Chaos King. It's a big beat stick, what can I say? There's really not much to it. The burn damage is really strong, but that's really the stretch of it. Then we have Crazy Beast and Caesar, as I mentioned. They're really strong payoffs. Caesar is of course a little niche because in the grind game they can out it very easily. But Crazy Beast is one of the strongest payoffs in the entire format. So definitely worth playing no matter the build. And Caesar is far stronger in Hyper Combo. Okay, so funny story about this line. Best of Dark Contact package. It's not. And you know why? Because I've Mandela affected myself into thinking Evil Hero Darkest Night. I thought this guy was a level 6. I swore this was level 6 and just I don't know. The stats are definitely ones of a level 6, so I assumed it was a level 6. And it sure as hell looked like a level 6, not a level 8. And so, well, there goes my plan to make Caesar for free. But it is what it is. This is still a really strong card in this format. We'll get there in detail a little later. This is really just only good in Hyper Combo. Okay, now we can get into our consistency tools. That was so bad. Okay, I love improvising stupid stuff. Okay, so first of all we have Fiend Griefing. This is one of the best cards ever, hands down in this format. It's Grave Disruption, it's a Foolish Burial. It's just crazy. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just insane. And the main use case it has is to send Wildwind to get Keeper in rotation. And most importantly, you also have 1 billion other send targets. You have Yugioh, you have Toddler, you have Diabolica, where are they? Diabolica, why is this not capitalized? Okay, Diabolica, you have Salamander Catalyzer, you have Soul Scissors as another option. But the gist of things is really just free money. I don't know what else to tell you. Small thing to note here is that if you do have Mutiny in rotation or just multiple mills, it's better to get Mutiny in rotation and send an Earthbound to the grave, rather than sending Wildwind plus Mutiny in rotation, because you immediately get to have a play rather than only being able to use Gremlina as sole follow-up. Like, I explain it a whole lot better here. If you have Mutiny in hand, sash way into yugioh. There we go. If you have Mutiny or a way into yugioh, or just for example 2 ways to mill fiends, and you have a choice to send Wildwind or your Earthbound, always mill the Earthbound, because that directly gets you a 7 plus an additional tuner on board. Instead of just making a 5, then summoning Gremlina for pretty much just follow up. Then we have Fiendish Rhino Warrior, which is basically just more ways into your fiends. I really don't have to explain why that's good. You know, just Toddler, your Earthbounds, a yugioh, Wildwind, all your other options. Fiendish Rhino Warrior is, though, just better in the control variant, because those play way more discard fodder. Sorry, not discard outlets, like your furniture, Dinomescus, Dark World Puppetry, which, again, it's just side grade to Fiend Griefing, I suppose, but it's still really strong Grave Disruption. Fiendish Rhino Warrior can still be played in Hyper Combo, but it is a little awkward because I'm not sure if the Fluffal engine is as strong here, because you don't have the normal to play Fluffal Dog. So it's a little more awkward, I think. This is the Fluffal package here. So, and I'm not sure if I like this a whole lot, because you don't have many ways to discard Vendor, and like you're using Vendor as your discard outlet, so it can get a little awkward, I feel like. But you could use Material Reactors, I suppose, to send Fiendish Rhino Warrior. I'm pretty sure there should be more discard outlets I'm eventually gonna be finding. Danger, though, is not it. It's not good. It's really not. So that's out of the question, I feel like. Then we have Toddler. Toddler is so insane. If you don't know what the card does, it's crazy. It summons itself when it's milled or sent from hand, which means your discard outlets that you would play for Fiendish Rhino Warriors also apply for it, and it mills a fiend. And well, there's a reason this card is limited. You can get it free off of Griefing. That's both a body and a way to extend plays with, say, yugioh and your Earthbounds, of course. And yeah, there really isn't a reason to not max out on this, unless you have, unless like you are able to play more than one, in which case Hyper Combo wouldn't play it. But it's still a really strong card. Off of Fiend Griefing, off of your discard outlets, off of Rhino Warrior, which is why also I feel like the Labrynth control variant is just so much better than anything else. You just get to play so many consistency tools. It's ridiculous. And then we have Wildwind. As I explained, the Wildwind just adds any of your Earthbounds, and it can also summon itself, which is fine. You can make Roland, you can make a level 7. It's perfectly serviceable. That's really it. Then Infernoble. Really shouldn't explain this one. Roland gets a ball, which can be gotten off of Roland. Durandal is the only equip you will ever need, because it can search Roland. Roland can equip itself to anything, which means you get advantage just from that. You don't need to go through Captain Roland. But you could play other equips for funny. If you're playing multiple Rolands, most importantly, for example, maybe a silly Labrynth variant or just Tearlaments Mel, you can play Trap Gatherer for recuperating griefing, Spirit Illusion, which can, I suppose, perform a fusion summon of Magnum. You can play Axe of Fools, which is fine. There really aren't that many big threats monster-wise outside of this guy, Desperate Doom Eagle. This is one of the main threats, but that's really it, I think, if I recall correctly. I'm not too familiar with this format, so like, give me a break. But this is one of the few real payoffs, monster-wise, that actually have an effect. Then we have Mirror Shield, which just invalidates your stupid beat sticks right here. But it is niche because it's only usable in a couple of variants. And yeah, that's really it for the core. There isn't much else to I don't think I haven't done justice to Bow, I suppose. Like, it's just free removal, and free removal in this format is incredible. Because a lot of your removal is just either or face-ups or face-downs. Cards that pop either or is incredible. Well, and yeah, there really isn't a reason not to play the Infernoble package, because that's the only way your Earthbounds are able to do anything on their own, even if it's just the spot removal plus a couple of bodies. The only break here is Bowl, which is perfectly fine, I feel like, because the other NNR format level 5s are just dog water. And you could play, what's it called? Yeah, Chief Second. Chief Second, there really isn't a cost to Chief Second, unlike Bowl, because this is a battle hand trap. Oh, never mind. This requires a Warrior Aura Fire. Actually, that you could play Veil. Look, fine. Just play this guy. This guy has no cost, and it's pretty solid. So that's really it for the core. And well, it plays very differently from Advanced, where you just shotgun combos. I wasn't supposed to show this list. This was more so just because I forgot to remove it from default, but it actually gives me a pretty good segue into Constructed, where Earthbound just hyper combo into Grind Game. You don't combo as hard in Pure, which is essentially what we're trying to do here. You get a couple of disrupts, and in rotation, then you can outgrind your opponent. And whilst that is most of what you're doing in NNR format, you don't have as many explosive tools. 99% of the reason of being the lack of Harmonic, Synchrofusion, and Sweeper, which are your main combo enablers, really. And so you really are rewarded more for a slower game plan that uses your best tools, like Fiend Griefing, like Rhino Warrior, Toddler, and Diabolica, to outgrind your opponent throughout multiple turns, whilst gaining advantage off of your other cards. Whilst Earthbound is still the start of the show, it's not as much, but that's fine, I feel like, because it's very clunky to make it work. Oh yeah, I should mention one very specific thing which I think is really cool. Walker actually does have a better line than Keeper for exactly this. You could argue the Cupid Pitch combo is better than this, because you just get Zeta plus Magnum. But Walker plus Booyah does enable you to make King Caesar, which is worth keeping in mind for a hyper combo, since that's mostly where you would play multiple Walkers. And with this over, we can finally get into the more exciting part of the video, which I feel like is gonna be the variants, the engines, what you can play in this new format. Alright, so this is Labrynth Earthbound. The Earthbound variant I feel is the strongest amongst the bunch because of just it playing a bunch of good stuff and a lot of consistency tools. So essentially the idea is just to use the furnitures, Dynamiscus and Puppetry to send the stuff that benefits from being sent to the graveyard, and then overwhelming your opponent with constant advantage until they lose, pretty much. And Fair Welcome Labrynth is just really strong. That's pretty much the reason you play Labrynth, because it just feeds good stuff and it enables your cards that want to be discarded. There really isn't much else to be explained here. It's just to grind your opponent out, mutiny loops, and you have really free removal of a bull and Fair Welcome, and of course your other back row. There should be another way to build this, like more trap heavy with less furnitures, with stuff like Sonic Stun, which here is Sonic Stun or Small Scuffle, and but I'm figuring it out. Speaking of figuring it out, I'm still trying to figure out the best ratios for this, because I just started playing this format and all I've done is just look around at other people's Labrynth list, just checking out the decks and such, and trying to build a deck myself. So if there is something that a more experienced and an R format player could tell me, like for example if a ratio is off or something, that would be very appreciated, because you know, trying to optimize this stuff is kind of my thing, and well, when I'm out of comfort zone, it's harder for me to do so, more feedback would be very appreciated. And like for example of jank ratios, I'm not sure if I want to play Shamisen nor King Caesar. Caesar, because of the reason I stated before, it's just really easy to out when you are rewarded for playing slower due to the lower power of the format, and Shamisen is just Keeper plus Linewalker and then Stovey Torby to try and shuffle back your synchros. It's just really niche, so I'm not sure. And plus the links, maybe you want to play more of your utility links like Triple Burst, like Cross Sheep, like what's it called? Something is escaping my mind. Puzzle Amino. Like, I'm not sure if I want to play more links or whatever. And well, this is gonna be very fun to figure out, but for now I've been having a lot of fun with this variant. Like, it's really cool. I really like the Graveyard Disruption melee. I feel like that's really sick. And overall it just feels really solid, with looping, mutiny, having a big toolbox of synchros to play and whatnot. And that's really it for this variant. Now we can get into whatever this is. This is a pile of cards with effects. This is a Fusion Slop Burn, and it is certainly a list ever. The core idea is just rulings. So the basic premise is, you know the line that we went through earlier of Keeper, summon Normal Walker, summon Booyah, go into Cupid Pitch, make Circle of the Fairies, then go into what's it called? Go into Circle of the Fairies, add Speed Burst Dragon, then you can go Gremlina, grab Greater Walker, summon Greater Walker, and here's a funny thing. Even if Uru immediately after being tribute summoned dies immediately, Greater Walker's effect still triggers, meaning you can use White Veil or Ring of Destruction to self-burn yourself for 15 and your opponent for another 15, or yourself for 3000 to then use Speed Burst to delete your opponent's life points. Is this good? Absolutely not. Because the line is super inconsistent. I feel like you would need more level 3 extenders, now that I think about it, instead of more fusion enablers. But fine. I don't even know if you wanna play it here. Maybe a red Lotus guy. Yeah, play 3 red Lotus. Oh god, this is... I am disappointed in this variant because it's just so dumb. It's just stupid. It is horrible things. It really is just that simple. It's just a stupid variant with stupid gimmick. And it doesn't work very well, but it is funny at least. You should definitely play Infernobles. I removed them earlier, right before this video, because, I don't know. That's a great question actually. Why am I not playing Infernobles? Remove King Caesar. You don't need to disrupt your opponent if you're gonna destroy them with gun damage. I guess one turn though doesn't hurt. And one of this for King Crimson. King Crimson? That's the JoJo stand. That's the wrong franchise. Red Lotus King. And I guess cut something. Huh. Who needs consistency? I don't like consistency. You don't like consistency. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. You'll be alright. This variant is so god-awful. Speaking of not god-awful, the Metalmorph package is fine. It deals burn damage more reliably than your other Bakos. In fact, it's slightly... Okay, White Veil is searchable, but so is this. So, really pick your poison for stupid burn damage enablers for this stuff. Yeah, there really isn't much to this list. If you fail the gimmick, you end on Magnum the Reliever, which is still pretty solid, and plus you still have Gremlina Grand Game, which is pretty cool. In this variant, you could definitely argue for multiple Mutiny, maybe one of this instead of one regular Walker. I have no words. I don't know. This is a stupid gimmick deck of a dumb game plan, and it is very funny, but the novelty will wear off really quickly, I feel. So let's just go through the some engines I feel like are interesting to talk about in this format. Alright, we can actually talk about something decent instead of whatever this is. First of all, we have Dark Contact. Very simply, the same thing as the what Infernoble uses, except like here you're using Infernoble as an engine instead of Infernoble using Earthbound as an engine, which is very funny. Darkest Night is a really cool card. It's got a funny mass reduction effect, and it can attack twice, and if it dies, it can recoup your guys, which means more grind game. It's just so cool. The problem is it doesn't advance your game plan too much. It's a strong card that shuffles your stuff, but it's fine. You can shuffle Toddler, which is really solid, but I'm not sure if I would recommend this too much though. unless you're playing a heavier Infernoble Labrynth variant, in which case I would actually justify this far more. And of course in Hyper Combo this is probably not too great, because warrior engines outside of Infernoble aren't good, or rather there aren't any really you can play here. So it's just whatever. Maybe there are a star. I don't know what's in the pool of warrior star guys, but there has to be something, right? No. Okay, never mind. There is nothing to do here. Next, you have the Evil Hero extension package, which is kind of weird. So the idea is you use Sinister Necrom as discard fodder, or just a dump target for Toddler or Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and then you use it to either summon Infernal Rider, which is used for rank 6 plays, Infernal Prodigy, because it's the only non-brick of the bunch, Infernal Gainer, which is a level 4 and also has a solid effect, and Vicious Claws, because if you manage to get Necrom on board, I guess it can summon itself. It's got a fine effect, I suppose, but it really is whichever you pick. 7 isn't a good level unless you're going for Xyz plays, which you can't really do that well for rank 7. Rank 6 is really solid for what you're trying to do, because you can just do this before your Earthbound combos by using Gremlina summoned off of Polymerization as material, so you aren't locked until you use Keeper later on. Infernal Prodigy is objectively the best card here, just because it's not a brick, but the things that it enables are just kind of mid. I don't think there even is a good level 3 Synchro to go into, and the only level 5 you get is Roland, really. Massive complaint here, though, is just, as I said in the Infernoble section, is just how frustrating it is that Dark Fusion is not a rare or a normal card, meaning that, first of all, Dark Contact can't search it to go into Gremlina, which is annoying, but it is especially annoying in this small package for Hyper Combo, because you lose out on Infernal Gainer's search. Like, this would be so good, just easy access to more fusion plays, just whenever you wanna. But Dark Fusion was released before both of these, and it's not like they really care too much about NNR format. Like, they just released Dark Necromancer, which is one of the best cards ever to release in this format, because Vendred is already strong. So like, they just don't care about this format, so it really does suck. I really wish you could play Dark Fusion stuff in this, but it is what it is. Infernal Rider is still, I feel like, the best of the bunch to be summoned off of Necrom in Hyper Combo. You just, although needing a discard outlet is a little awkward, because Fluffal could be strong actually. Like, I've seen people say it is busted broken, but here without Dog I'm not too sure, because you lose out on a lot of consistency, and I don't know, it could be really strong with more testing. As a bonus, Necrom is just a free target for Poly. Speaking of Poly, I'm not sure about the ratios, but it is pretty solid. Any Earthbound, exactly Keeper gets you to Magnum if you use a monster from hand to get Magnum. Fusion Sage is really solid with Magnum, because you can shuffle back your regular Poly and just banish Sage as you, for free pretty much. Black Sheep has some upsides, has some downsides. The downside is it cannot be banished off of Magnum and it cannot be shuffled. The upside is that it's searchable off of pitch, which means you're at minimum playing 1 if you're ever playing Polymerization, and 2, it is a dark monster, meaning it can be used as material for Grunlina, although that's extremely niche with the amount of sheep you would consider playing. I'll eventually test out these ratios though, so and it will be updated. You can find, of course, the entire sheet in the description as per usual. Let's just move into Succession. This is really cool. You can, of course, you already have Toddler in engine, but it doesn't hurt to have Dragons, which is backward removal, which is pretty free, and the Beast for additional advantage, although Beast is kinda a niche. You could play 10 Dangles as well, but I'm not sure. I would need to test that. As a reminder, just test Dangles. Danglers. Yes, test Danglers. And Genius is pretty much just here for Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Succession is a really cool card. So I feel like it could be pretty strong, because Dragon is a strong card, Toddler is really strong, although it is a little slow. It could be really good in the Labrynth variant, but I will need to test it out. It is separate from the other consistency tools like Popper Up, Clear Near World, which is only for Hyper Combo, Sonic Stun, which also can be used in heavy back row, same with Small Scuffle. Minimalian, it could be used in Mortal Jank, for example Wirako Charaska. Baka Team is fine in Tearlaments. I forgot to mention this entire section, but it's really not important in the grand scheme of things. Like, they're good cards. You can just read them later. I don't think they're as exciting as Funny Engines. Succession, definitely I will need to try in the Labrynth variant, since it generates so much advantage throughout so many turns, especially with Toddler, with Dragon, with and just being able to add Keeper for free, pretty much. Then we have Lotus King is pretty funny, but it's not really interesting. It has a lot of cool targets. Predaplants are the main one, I feel like, because this gives you a lot of consistencies for planning, which is a really strong back row card. Then we have Until Noble Arms are needed once more, which is just free consistency for more Infernoble plays, although this is just stronger in Infernoble period. Dragon Mind is so strong it got banned, and I feel like it's a shame I didn't start playing until Dragon's Mind was just banned outright. It is kind of sad, but it never coexisted with Booyah, so oh well, it is what it is. Azumina is interesting, I suppose, but there's not much else to talk about. It frustrates me a little that Determination is just a brick until you draw your other Azuminas. It is way better in Tearlaments though, so this could be really strong in a Tearlaments build, focusing more on Nerf rounds actually. Like, you just make a bunch of souls, you have Queen Azumina as a fusion material for polymerization and such, and that recurs itself. Especially, I think she floats on Tearlaments mills. I'm not sure. Queen Azumina. Okay, never mind. It can't be sent off to Tearlaments. That's upsetting. But still, the rest of the package is pretty solid in Tearlaments, I feel like. Especially because their level soul is a level 6 body, which means a more level 7 plays, or just Annihilator Archfiend off of Cloud Castle, which is pretty cool. Level Resist Wall is funny, but meh. You can just turbo out Rhino Warrior plus Booyah plus Keeper. The problem is your opponent definitely will see this coming, and it only works with level resist Duel, which is fine enough with Labrynth, I think. You can play Metamorph plus Labrynth, although Beastal Talwar here is technically the most reliable way into it, because with Metamorph you will lose out on Metal Flame to gain access to level resist Duel, so it's a little awkward. And it is very telegraphed if you don't shotgun Flame Metamorph for Swordsman, because like they will see you're going for resist Duel. So it can be a little awkward, but this is a really funny play, so approved. I will be probably playing this in a back row heavy Labrynth variant, just for funsies, once I have more free time, you know. As for Koishi jump scare, I got jump scared. I misclicked on the tab, and yeah, I put Koishi here just because I felt like it would be kinda cute to have the tabs that don't really serve a purpose, like they're just here to neatly divide the different kinds of engines. I just put Koishi because, well, it's cute. I love her. Generic extent. Yeah, I just added this yesterday and I still haven't added anything to it. I will eventually do so. In fact, actually, I'll do it at the end of this video. Expect stuff here. Smile. Cupid Pitch will already went through for Black Sheep and such, for hyper combos and lines with Booyah and whatnot. But there's also more to this stuff. The only one really worth mentioning here, I feel like, is Saracenian, because it is a really strong battle hand trap. It removes stuff. It is basically just bootleg Antlion that can just get a Predap card. That is horrible. And speaking of Predaplant, there we go. Speaking of Predaplants, you have a lot of cool stuff here. You have Biblips, which is just consistency. You can send it off of your discards, your Dynamask, your Labrynth stuff, I guess. This would work better in Tearlaments though, rather than Labrynth, because this can be milled off of your off of your Tearlaments. Saracenian is of course a really strong battle hand trap. Predaplanting is really strong to screw over Xyz and Synchro plays because of the level modding. Then we have, importantly, where is it? Bofo. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Bofa is just polymerization that's searchable off of Bitlips, which can be searched off Planning, and Planning can be searched off Red Lotus King, and or just sent off of your Tearlaments mills and resummon back with Grimdina's summon, which is pretty cool. Then you need to play Hydra. This is just freer removal after you use Planning, so you don't even need to level mod to get value off of Hydra. You could play Banks Yoga as well, although with your Earthbounds as tuners, I don't feel like this is necessarily necessary. That's a mouthful. You could play Spider Orchid as removal. You could play Triantis to enable Bufo a little more, although I feel like that's just way too bricky. And also you can play Ponic, which is Reborn for Predaplants, which is pretty fine. Alongside your Predaplants, it is very interesting. I don't know how interesting it is for everyone else, but I feel like it's really interesting that you need to play a bunch of links to enable this. Mostly because of Magnum, but also because... actually, remove this. You don't want to play Triantis. And one Bufo. You want to have Dryas to enable polymerization into your stuff. You want Lizardos for Senlean Snapper. And Snapper is a really strong card. It pops to back row, it can banish anything, so like, it's free, really. And it enables Wisteria Woe, which is more Grave Disruption, which is really strong, and I think it's really cool. And this is just infinite grind game as well, and it can be used as a level 4 body with your Earthbounds, which is just so much synergy alongside Tearlaments. I'm shocked I haven't yet built a deck with this. I'll do that and probably make a video about it in a couple of weeks. That's really it for the cool variants engines I wanted to mention. Let's have a quick mention of Fluffal, Danger, and Fusionist before I conclude. I edit this video and then I go back to writing stuff and researching for this sheet. I am really happy with how my testing is going. It's really fun. There's a lot of stuff that's not viable in a Constructed Advanced that is viable here, and it's just great. I kick my desk. Awesome. So Fluffal is a really controversial engine in the community discords. Some people say it's just insane, and I haven't heard anyone else say any other thing about the engine. So they banned Dolphin. Dog is still legal, but you can't play it in Earthbound. So I feel like most of your consistency is gone from just that fact alone. But I could be wrong. I definitely need to test this engine more. Like, if someone can explain to me in like why this engine is good, even if in a deck that requires its normal summon, please let me know. I am so confused, honestly. Like, it is free discarding, but that's really it. I don't know. Like, unless you have a good way to remove Vendor from board, you don't really gain advantage of it. Or you just hard draw wings. Maybe with Performapal Popper Up, there is maybe some plays you get to do. Maybe with Clear New World to search wings, there could be something there, but I don't know. I'll test something out and maybe revisit this sort of video, just overall thoughts on the format in the future. Maybe alongside the Predaplants, who knows. Then we have Danger. This sucks. This is so bad. Level 4 bodies are fine, but not great. And Thunderbird being an 8 is just sad. You can play Crush Sheep, which is cool, although the effects of these cards are really subpar, so I really struggle to consider them worth it here. Like, 4 is a decent level, but 8s aren't good, and 5s are fine, and 7s are okay. 4 is decent. Thunderboard is... Thunderboard. Again, what is a Thunderboard? That's not a real word, right? It is a real word, actually. Okay, never mind. Side tangent aside, Crush Sheep is cool. Mothman and Troops are decent. Actually, though, on second thought, these could be pretty solid. The thing is, they're just too gambly for my liking. I prefer my combos to be deterministic. Outside of Tearlaments, Tearlaments is fun because like everything has a payoff. But here you just need to hit the one card in your hand. There, you hit multiple cards, if that makes sense. I don't know, these could have potential, but again, I need more testing. I just started playing this format. I just started testing everything and whatnot. Lastly is Synchrofusionist. This is dog water. This is not good. Synchrofusionist is searchable off of Cupid Pitch. and it searches refusion. And okay, honestly, without instant fusion and without brilliant fusion and all the good fusion spells, this is just garbage. You can resummon Grimlina, but that doesn't do anything. So like, why would you do that? Why would you spend your resources and use Salamander, which is not really searchable, I think? Like, you don't have many ways to search Salamander, only to enable Synchro Fusionist, and it doesn't pay off. It's just not good, but it is very funny, so like, it's included here. I might find a way to make this viable, though. I mark my words. I will make my stupid idiot Bucko Gremlin thing work. See, this format at least lets me flex my creative muscles for this kind of stupid garbage. It is really refreshing, and that's really my thoughts on the format. It's really refreshing to have so much freedom in what is viable and not just the best things that I've been playing for 5,000 years, which I still have fun with, but eventually it... but like, I love deck building more than I love actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So it is very fun to have this kind of stuff. Testing stuff out, of course, will need me to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But that is the beauty of deck building, I feel. And plus, the lower power the format really lets me grind stuff out, which is pretty much most of the reason I even enjoy Earthbound in the first place. Just pure grind game, it is awesome. And lastly, no combos until I have free time to actually write them down. There aren't really many 2-card combos that are lengthy, nor 3-card combos that are lengthy, so it's gonna be fairly easy, although the amount of combinations is gonna make it a little awkward, so I'm not too sure. Either way, yes, I love saying either way. Either way, I'll be working on this sheet throughout the coming months alongside my Genesis sheet. The combo sheet has been sort of abandoned because of just new format hype, but hey man, look, I'm having fun. That's all that matters. If someone else wants to help me with the combo sheet, I wouldn't really want to have someone else work on the combo sheet, I think. Mainly because I'm a control freak. I want every single line to be consistent. Consistently written. Like, even if someone else knew the combos, I would need to reformat everything. I might as well do it myself. I'm rambling just like every single time. That's gonna be the end of the video. See ya, peace.